Gumball's wild adventures are full of chaos, but if he were charged for his crimes, things would get pretty serious. In the episode The Test, Gumball, Darwin, and Sarah try those old Facebook quizzes. Gumball is reluctant at first, but when the quiz says he's a loser, he decides to change things up. He starts acting the opposite of how he usually does, trying to be nice instead of his usual jerk self. But all the built-up anger inside him doesn't disappear, and the whole situation turns into a sitcom. Gumball becomes the popular kid, and Tobias, who's usually cool, becomes the loser. In the end, Gumball spits out all the venom he's been holding inside, burning Tobias' face and leaving a nasty hole. Tobias survives, but he's in critical condition. For this, Gumball would be charged with aggravated battery, sentenced for 10 years and a $110,000 fine. In the episode The Spoiler, Gumball loses it when movie spoilers start ruining his excitement for The Screaming. Everyone in Elmore has already seen it, and avoiding spoilers is impossible. During lunch, his friends spoil the movie with food metaphors, and Gumball, in a fit of rage, eats all their lunches. But it doesn't stop there. Anton, a literal piece of toast, tries to spoil the movie too, so Gumball eats him. Yes, cannibalism. Later, when a random radio caller starts spoiling the movie, Gumball assaults him on air. For these acts, Gumball would be charged with second-degree murder and aggravated battery. That's life in prison, plus an additional 5 years and a $110,000 fine. And don't forget, Anton wasn't safe the second time either. In the episode The Job, Gumball and Darwin decide to help Richard deliver pizzas. Their first stop is the Pepperoni family, who are expecting a baby. Gumball, just about to hand over the pizza, drops it down the stairs, killing the baby in front of the parents. It's a tragic moment, but at least he gave them another baby. Sort of. Next, Gumball is supposed to deliver the pizza to Mr. Small. Since the pizza is ruined, he makes a new one from mud, grass, and chewing gum. Mr. Small, starving, doesn't even check the pizza before eating it. He ends up poisoned and passes out, though he survives. For these actions, Gumball would be charged with involuntary manslaughter and poisoning. That's 20 years in prison and a $35,000 fine. In the episode The Spoon, Gumball and Darwin find themselves in the middle of a robbery. They go to a gas station to buy a gift for their mom. But when they see Sal robbing the place, he tricks them into thinking it's for charity. Being good kids, they decide to help him steal. When the cops show up, Sal tells them to distract them, and Gumball and Darwin do it perfectly. But things take a turn when they find a full safe of cash. Just as they're about to hand it over, their family walks in. That's when they realize they've been part of a crime. Trying to stop Sal, they wreck the gas station in the process. For all this, Gumball would face charges of aiding and abetting a crime, obstruction of justice, and vandalism. That's additional 13 years in prison and a fine of $223,000. In the episode The Mustache, Gumball and Darwin accidentally become buff adults after eating Richard's cereal, which turns out to be full of pills. With their newfound strength, Gumball gets an idea. First, he throws a dodgeball at Tina, and she crashes through a wall, knocked out cold. Feeling invincible, Gumball takes things further by stealing a car like any adult might do. For these wild actions, Gumball would face charges of aggravated battery and reckless driving. As an adult, that would mean 15 years in prison and a $25,000 fine. In the episode The Hug, Gumball crosses a line when he impulsively hugs the hot dog guy. What starts as a simple awkward moment turns into a nightmare when the hot dog guy refuses to let go. Days of uncomfortable interactions follow, making things worse. Desperate to end it, Gumball tries a shocking move. He feeds the hot dog guy actual hot dogs, hoping it will make him let go. For this bizarre act, Gumball would face charges of criminal solicitation and mental torture. That means another 20 years in prison and a $3,000 fine. In the episode The Gift, Gumball and Darwin are invited to Masami's birthday party, but they're terrified because anyone who gave her a bad gift last time mysteriously disappeared. To avoid the same fate, they decide to give her the perfect gift, something she doesn't already have. Richard suggests they give her nothing. And how do they do that? By kidnapping her and locking her in the basement. Of course, Masami panics, floods the place, and almost drowns them all. Thankfully, she breaks out and saves them in time. For this, Gumball would face charges of aggravated kidnapping involving a child, which could land him a life sentence and a $50,000 fine. In the episode The Voice, Gumball and Darwin are chatting online when they're suddenly threatened by a mysterious figure. This person promises payback for all the bad things Gumball and Darwin have done. To make things right, Gumball decides to apologize to everyone at school. While apologizing to Alan, the ever-perfect, flawless guy, Gumball gets frustrated by how nice he is. So he punches Alan into the sky, and to make matters worse, he grabs a rock and pops him. After that, things seem to calm down, until the mysterious figure, William the Winged Green Eye, shows up. He starts chasing them with powers, but when he realizes they couldn't hear him before because he has no mouth, it's too late. Gumball grabs a racket and smacks William so hard that he flies through a window. For these actions, Gumball would face 2 charges of second-degree murder and 2 life sentences in prison, plus a $200,000 fine. In the episode The Saint, Gumball takes his frustration to the extreme, torturing Alan just for being too nice. It all starts when Gumball spills juice on a computer, causing it to explode. In a panic, he tries to put out the fire with more juice, making things worse. The librarian starts chasing them in anger, and Alan steps in, taking the blame to protect Gumball and getting detention. Instead of being grateful, Gumball gets annoyed with Alan's kindness. He vows to break Alan and expose his true nature. First, he posts inappropriate things on Alan's social media, making him lose friends. But Alan, ever the nice guy, tries to use this as a chance to make peace, which only frustrates Gumball more. Next, Gumball has Darwin impersonate Alan to ruin his relationship with Carman. But Alan doesn't crack, so Gumball steals his last meatball at lunch and, in the worst move of all, kidnaps Alan's parents and sells them to a clown at a children's party. After all this failure, Gumball goes mad and vows to only do good from now on. For these crimes, Gumball would face charges of impersonation, forgery, theft, and human trafficking. These serious offenses would lead to a life sentence plus 8 more years and a $215,000 fine. Then, in the episode The Traitor, Gumball takes things way too far when he goes full stalker mode. It all begins when Alan lies about his mom being in the hospital. But Gumball doesn't trust him. He starts tailing Alan, crashes into cars, and causes chaos, blowing up random bystanders in the process. Then Gumball shows up at the hospital, accidentally kills Alan's Uncle Phil, and, believe it or not, attempts surgery on Alan's mom. The surgery doesn't kill her, but it leaves her in a horrible condition, able to speak only through her butt. For all this, Gumball would face charges of second-degree murder 5 times, impersonating a doctor, practicing medicine without a license, and reckless endangerment. His punishment, the death penalty, 20 years in prison, and a hefty $585,000 fine. In the episode The Schooling, Gumball takes his new job as a bank teller a bit too literally. When a robber shows up, his co-worker casually tells them, "We're the bank. We rob people, not the other way around." Gumball decides to follow that advice, cleaning out every account, snatching jewelry, and even threatening a customer by saying, "We'll come for your kids next." This isn't just theft. It's a full-blown robbery and coercion. For these crimes, Gumball would face 10 years in prison and a $15,000 fine. In the episode The Debt, Gumball goes way too far after Mr. Robinson narrowly misses him while parking. Gumball decides that Mr. Robinson owes him his life, so he goes on a mission to help him. But it's nothing but disaster. First, he moves a wet floor sign, causing Mr. Robinson to slip and eat pavement. Then Gumball sets up a booby trap that ends up injuring him instead. Things get worse when Gumball thinks Mr. Robinson is dead in a tanning booth, so he tries to revive him twice with a defibrillator. Finally, after all that, Gumball crushes Mr. Robinson under a platform. For these actions, Gumball would be charged with second-degree murder and aggravated battery, and his punishment would be a life sentence plus 5 extra years in prison and a $110,000 fine. In the episode The Cycle, Gumball takes things too far when he helps Richard get revenge on his lifelong bully, Harold Wilson. First, Harold rams his car into Richard's in the parking lot. Then he steals Richard's pants and replaces them with women's pants. The kids decide it's time for payback, but instead of something small, Gumball comes up with a wild idea: a fake check for $1 billion. Sure, it's obvious it's fake, but Harold doesn't cash it right away. Instead, he uses his own money and goes on a wild spending spree, buying jewelry, a private helicopter, and hiring butlers. Harold's lavish spending ends up sinking him deep into debt and wrecking his life. For this, Gumball would be charged with check fraud and forgery. His punishment, an additional 20 years in prison and a $225,000 fine. In the episode The Prank, Gumball takes pranking to a whole new level of cruelty. It all starts when Richard is pranked by Sala, who hides baked beans in his sneakers. Gumball, thinking this is child's play, steps in to show Richard what a real prank looks like. Except this is more than anyone could handle. First, Gumball hijacks Richard's prank audio guide, leading him to do some embarrassing and dangerous stunts. The next day, Richard wakes up stranded at sea, forced to eat his own clothes to survive, and returns sunburned and angry. For his actions, Gumball would be charged with criminal harassment and reckless endangerment. He could face up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. Adding up all of Gumball's crimes, his total sentence would be the death penalty, 5 life sentences, 146 years in prison, and fines totaling $1,907,000. But honestly, the real crime here is you watching this whole video without subscribing. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, because when we hit 100,000 subs, I'll finally leave my room and get some fresh air. Maybe even go outside.